Welcome to our flute lesson on the 3 points of balance. This is a very important lesson that you might find yourself coming back to again and again because it helps us place our hands on the flute in a way that will allow our body to be relaxed and our fingers to move lightly and freely. So really what we're going to be talking about is good hand position. The 3 points of balance include our chin as number 1. So the placement of that head joint up to our chin is our first point of balance. And this might be the first time you're putting the whole flute up to your face, so just realize that you can still slide it back and forth if you need to figure out where that lip plate goes on your chin. The second point of balance is your left hand. Can you bring up your left hand? It should make an L for you when you look at it, so it's a good way to know if it's your left hand. Give me a number 1. I like to think that since we're flutes, we're number 1, but I'm just teasing. So with our pointer or index finger here, the part that we are going to contact and connect with the flute is this side of the first finger. So you'll notice that it is the side towards your thumb, and it's kind of between those first 2 knuckles of the finger. So in between those knuckles, it's a little bit more soft and squishy, so I like to affectionately refer to this as our soft squishy spot. I'm also a giant nerd though, so I went to look it up, and according to medicine, this part of your finger is called the proximal phalanx. So in case you wanted to know that, the more you know. It's okay if you call it the soft squishy spot though. So then extend your left hand out as if you're going to shake somebody's hand. And the flute might already be at your face, but you can rest it on your shoulder for now so that you can see what you're doing. This hand is actually going to come back towards you. So it's on the opposite side of the flute than your body is right now. And we're going to place that soft squishy spot in between the gap of those first 2 keys of the body. And right now your hand should be pretty firm, pointing up towards the ceiling in that spot. Now go ahead and hold on to your flute or set it down somewhere as we talk about the third part of our 3 points of balance. And that has to do with our very right hand. Give me a thumbs up because it's our thumb that we're going to use. And with our thumb, what we are actually going to do is we're going to find the very tip top of that thumb. And just kind of press on it a little bit because that is the feeling that you will have when you put the thumb on the flute. So this is your third point of balance. And as you put your thumb on the flute, you might want to hold on to the barrel or gently place some fingers on some keys. But the flute faces this way. This thumb, if you create a C, your thumb is going, I'm going to slide this way for a second. Your thumb is going to hone in onto the side of the flute. So we're not going to go on the bottom, we're actually going to go on the side of the flute. And I like to make this noise just because it's more entertaining. So it's kind of like neener, 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 thunk. And we land there, yeah? So I'm going to come in pretty close to the camera here so that you can see. I have an extra little patch here. I'll talk about that in another video for flute accessories. And you can see that it is the very tip top of the thumb that is on the side of the flute. On your body there are 3 keys, and so we want that thumb to be next to the 3rd key from the end of the body joint because our fingers will actually land right on top. And we'll talk about finger placement in 1 second. So we have our 3 points of balance. The first point is the chin. The second point is the soft, squishy spot on the side of your index finger of your left hand that is outside the flute and comes back towards you and lands between the first 2 keys that have a little gap in the body. And then your third point of balance is the very tip top of your thumb, staying on the same side as your body, but landing on the side of the flute next to those last 3 keys. So if you place the flute up to your chin, which is your first point of balance, and you actually lift off all of those fingers, but you have those two hand points of balance as well as your chin, you should be pretty stable. If you are finding that you're concerned you're going to drop it or that the flute wants to roll on you and move, we need to adjust that a little bit. So one of the things that could be happening is we need to kind of think about pushing a little bit into the flute with those 2 points of balance so that there's a little bit of equal and opposite pressure. What we've created here is actually one of our scientific laws of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and that is happening between your two hands, which is really awesome. But if it's still rolling on you, see how suddenly you can see my thumb? Your thumb might be too low, and the flute will roll. And the reason why the flute rolls if your thumb is too low is because we have all of these rods as part of our keys that are actually not on top of the flute, they're on the side of the flute. And so they are heavy, and we need to make sure that they cannot roll away from us. So bringing that thumb, if you're trying to put it at the bottom, bringing that thumb a little bit more up on the tip top towards the side will help give us a little bit of ability to control the weight of those rods to prevent it from rolling. So try to find those 3 points. Remember, with your hands kind of push into the flute ever so gently. And hopefully you can wiggle your fingers around easy peasy. Yeah? And if this feels good, try to do some circles. Paint with the end of the flute like you have a paintbrush, a circle. Move that circle in the opposite direction. Draw a star, however you might do that. If you're feeling really fancy, try to spell out your name. Mine gets kind of long when I do this. There we go, Amanda. And that is just a good way to say, am I stable? Can I move this around, right? And will it roll on me or not? And again, your right hand thumb position is usually the biggest culprit. So really check in on that. And if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out and ask.